Hello, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm talking about herbs. So I have been getting lots of herbs and trying to preserve them, but I wanted to share what I do with chives because a few years ago when we first started our garden and I got chives, I dehydrated most of them if we didn't use them fresh, and they left like zero flavor when I went to use them in the winter. So I don't do it that way anymore. I have two ways of preserving chives, and both of them are freezer friendly. So I'm going to show you the how-to, but then I'm also at the end of the video I'll explain how I actually use them, because I feel like that's half the battle of actually using what you preserve. So just a little side note, this is a new herb to me. It's bronze fennel and it smells like licorice. I preserved lemon thyme. Lemon thyme is my favorite. It's lemony but not so much strong thyme flavor. So if you don't really like thyme, try lemon thyme, and it's fantastic on chicken. It's mostly how I use it, and you can also use it on roasted vegetables. I dehydrated that yesterday. Right now in the oven, I have lemon balm to preserve for teas, and then I'm gonna do up these chives, and then I have more regular thyme to cut out from the garden, but I like to preserve right away because it doesn't really hold in the fridge or anything. So whatever I do, I try to do it within 24 hours of actually cutting it from the garden, which keeps it super fresh too. So let's get cooking. Super basic and just using my chives and my softened room temperature butter to be able to mix up. But if I had grown garlic or gotten more garlic from down the street from the farmer's market, I would gladly mince up some garlic and put it in there, so it's kind of a one-stop butter. But super basic, this is what I normally do. So chives and mix up some butter. So I just packaged the butter back up and molded it back into its packaging, and I slipped it in the freezer so it can harden up before I move it to the designated butter section. But I went to work on the chive oil now. So since I don't know what exactly recipes I'm going to use for the chives, like all of them I should say, I'm going to use like flavor neutral oil. So I don't love olive oil in every recipe I use the chives for, so what I'm going to use is my avocado oil, and you can use any kind of ice cube tray. I love this one just because it has a rubber bottom, and so it's super easy to help pop out the cubes when I'm done. So this is the one I'm going to use, and I'll link some down below if I can find some. I'm sure I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill, my daughter wants to help me with this, so I'm not going to do it all myself, but the idea is you literally just fill your ice cube hole, and then I'm going to go through and literally just, yeah, this is avocado oil. Okay. Literally just fill the hole with oil and kind of push down the chives, maybe add a little bit more oil so they all stick together. And then when this is done, it goes into the freezer until it's frozen, and then I'll pop these out. They're pretty easy to pop out. And then I put them in a mason jar, a specific mason jar that I have in the freezer for chive oil, so I can pop one or two out per recipe with whatever I'm using. So I'm gonna go call my daughter and we're gonna fill these up. So how do I use chive butter and chive oil? Which I can use the chive oil, and instead of using oil, I can use water. That's a good way too. If I've already chopped some chives up and have run out of room, I can throw it in like even a small container that's like disc. And once it freezes, I pop it into my broth veggie scrap bag, and I can throw it into broth later on down the road. So the chive butter, mostly we use it with potatoes. So twice baked potatoes, mashed potatoes. But you can also, we like it sometimes on like French bread that I've baked and then cut open and slather on there and toast it in the oven for dinner. That's mostly how we use it. The oil is great in soups. You could still use it in like mashed potatoes, so oil just mixes up. Soups, and then also it's good. I like to put some the chive once it's defrosted and mix it with like mustard and stuff and like a little salad that's not ranch. So those are the mostly ways we use it. And then like I said, I still do the water. If I've already chopped it up, I use the water method and just put it in my veggie scrap. But you can also just cut down the chives like the end of the season. If you have too much, you could just literally throw it in your veggie scraps and just let it freeze whole and in strips, and then throw it in to make broth later on. So I hope that's helpful. Once it actually freezes, I'll show you moving it over into my mason jar. I have these white, I have it on my sourdough. These white lids I love. They're freezer friendly. I use dry erase and then throw it in the freezer, and then it washes off when I'm done with the container. So I also have, my husband brought home from work a label maker that I probably should use more of. So I love the reusable. And then if I use a mason jar, I keep my mason jar lids, which I don't know if I have any. But if I've used a mason jar for like jelly, I don't throw it out. I actually just write with like a permanent marker an X on it, knowing that I can't can with it again. But it's great for when I use stuff in the freezer. I can use a canning lid, which I think sometimes is more like air suctioned. So I reuse canning lids when I do the freezer. So I hope that's helpful. I hope you have an abundance of herbs. I am hoping to do more videos. I start and stop here on YouTube, but I do have some, that zucchini bread. I actually have Grandma Dee's recipe here on the channel if you want to learn how to make some quick bread with zucchini is what I used, but we use it all season long. In the fall, I use, pumpkin and all kinds of stuff. It's kind of one of those that you can switch out the flavor, but the recipe stays